What's up, everyone? Happy Tuesday evening. We are now just 2 weeks away from the Masters. I got my Tiger Woods fix tonight, even though he got his butt whooped in the TGL match. Tell Skylar I said hello. Saw her in the background.
Keith says
And
hello.
but this is two off the tee. We are fantasy six packs, PGA golf, DFS, and betting show. I'm your host, Keith Flemming. You probably know me from a million different shows on Fantasy Six Pack where I'm running my mouth. That's what I do. And I'm joined by my good friend and very good young teaching professional, Scott Porter. What's going on, Scott?
Not much, Keith. Just happy to be here. Look forward to Tuesdays every week now. And it kind of, I was thinking about today, like now that I have something to look forward to in the middle of the week, besides just the golf on the weekends, it
Right.
seems my weeks go by much faster. Because from the time the tournament ends on Sunday, I'm turning around and looking forward to Tuesday nights with you. So
Love hearing that.
and then I teach golf, and get that fix in as well. So yeah, life
Absolutely.
is good.
Life is good. It was a little cooler today than what I liked with what it's been in Georgia the last like 2 weeks. We've been in like the 80s. It's been amazing. But still very nice weather. Now is like the golden time to hit the driving range in the South, man. It just feels great in the afternoons after work. But we are here to discuss the Houston Open. This is the Texas Children's Houston Open. Yes, it is a mouthful. We're coming off of Allspar where I still do not have an outright winner, but thanks to David Lipsky and some absurd top five odds of plus 2,900. Plus, I said, let's just do the whole thing on my betting cheat sheet. We had him top five, top 10, top 20. That totaled out to, if even you were just putting, half a unit, whatever, almost 50 to 1. And what's really wild about just how these betting books have gotten carried away, Lipsky's 29 to 1 odds, the top five are higher than Matt Fitzpatrick's. I believe it's 22 to 1 to win the tournament. And that's only going to get worse this week because at the last second, Scotty Scheffler said, I'm out like Scott Porter. He has got a second youngin on the way. Apparently, the due date is any day now. And so he backed out. And I don't know if you saw the betting odds, Scott, like right before the news came out and then within like a few hours afterwards. Oh my God. Like the outright odds. Luckily, I had already clicked guys like Gerard and Adam Scott, but their odds I know dropped more than 10 to 1, where Gerard went from, I think he was 47 plus 4,700 when I got him. I saw in some places he's now all the way down to 3,500. So they just don't let us have any fun anymore on betting outrights. But as always, we try to find creative ways to make money. I still think this is another week where like the top 5, top 10, top 20 odds are in some ways more interesting than the outright, especially for the big dogs. But we'll get into all of that in a second. Let's first talk about Memorial Park Golf Course. They figured out, I guess it was pretty much immediately, because this event started being held in 2020 here, that it was going to take place a few weeks before Augusta National. Nico's trying to get comfortable, everybody. I'm sorry if you hear the scratching in the background. All you see is ass right there over my shoulder. They've changed up the venue in many ways. What's going on, Ron? Hope you're doing well. And they've tried to make it very much like Augusta. And come on, we know Memorial Park is a great golf course. It's not Augusta National. I mean,
Right.
who is? But basically no rough anywhere. Especially like the fairways is super short, same exact grass that you'll see at Augusta National. The areas around the greens have much more runoff than what Memorial Park had at the beginning of this venture in 2020. All that is mowed down, again, similar to Augusta National, where you can have a shot, just miss the green, next thing you know, you're 15 yards back. So it is an interesting venue. It's funny that Ron said what he did because the distance seems inflated. Accuracy dips a lot. Captain Obvious. Yeah. Driver distance is huge this week, and carry distance is big as well. If you look at like the past winners here, all of them can bomb it off the tee. And again, like if it's an event, you think about it, if there's no rough, and like Nicola Hogar is a perfect example of a guy that I really like this week who playing great golf across the board. The only reason, though, he has not been more successful is he's hitting like 52% of fairways, which is not good. And a lot of weeks that will really hurt you on what you can do on your approaches, etc. I mean, this week with a guy that bombs it like he does, let him fly because there's really no penalty off the tee. So obviously, again, driver distance. I wouldn't look at strokes gained off the tee because strokes gained off the tee takes into account things like, if a course has a lot of rough, hitting fairways. That's a big key to that. So this week, it's really just about how far you can hit it. You're going to have a ton of approaches of 200 plus yards. That's another big one for me this week because par 71, only 3 par 5s, 5 par 4s of 490 yards plus. I'd play all those as par 5s, just for the record. It is a very long golf course. I believe it's the second longest venue on tour that is not a major championship venue. So you got long par 3s, which there's 5 of them. Again, all those long par 4s. So that's really important. And I know a lot of people hear Bomber's Paradise and they think, well, that means the scoring's low. Not really. If you look at it, I think going back to 2020, if you just shot even for all 4 rounds, you would have finished 40th or better 4 of the 5 years that they've held this event at Memorial Park Golf Course. So bogey avoidance, really big, scrambling, the normal stuff we talk about, Scott. But I tried to keep it very simple this week. And there's maybe a few guys in my lineup that are not, what you would call bombers, like maybe, not top 30 in driving distance. But I like somebody like David Lipsky, who, right now I love, obviously. But even I can't play him with how short he is off the tee because I just think it's such a disadvantage this week. But looking at the course, where did you kind of start, or what did you look into stats wise when you're building your DFS lineups and your betting card?
Yeah, you mentioned it, and I have a strike through off the tee, and I just replaced it with driver distance. That's if we're going to talk week in and week out, how you're approaching the ball is always going to matter, right? That doesn't change here, especially with the over 200. So I put in there a lot of proximities from like 175 to 200, 200 to 225. You're going to get a bunch of those shots, as you mentioned. And I put a small amount of emphasis on historical putting here at this venue. For example, Wyndham Clark is a guy that his Florida swing was Jekyll and Hyde. He hit the ball fantastic. Strokes gained, all well above tour average in ball striking. And he just lost strokes on the green in 4 out of his last 5 events. So the Florida swings was not very good to him when it comes to putting. But if you look at, his historical here, and I'm going to get into it a little bit later, but like I mentioned, he's gained more than a shot in his last five trips here to Houston on the greens. So I'm expecting a little bit of that to kind of even its way out. There's a couple guys that have been looking forward to getting out of Florida that I'm going to mention and getting to Texas. So, it's one of those things where I'm going to let how they're playing recently affected a little bit in my brain, but I'm going to really look at the bombers. I'm going to really look at the guys that they kind of feast on these longer holes where the shorter guys are going to be having roughly a hell of a time, if we're being honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that, is pretty much it. And again, some weeks I'll get really complicated, or not complicated, but I'm just saying I'll look at a variety of factors and a guy may get put on my betting card or in my DFS plays because they're good at this section, or, and another guy could be on the list for 3 totally different, statistics, but this week it was pretty easy to find a theme. I like those weeks because they're the easiest for me in terms of figuring out who I'm going to use. But let's get into the DFS stuff. We'll start with, this is not a super predictive course. I think it's like 14th or 15th in the most annual predictive. It is funny though that, and again, I don't even totally know how they come up with that statistic. I want to, thank places like BetSpert for doing that, because if you look at it, there is a lot of guys who have repeated success here. Like, the ones that I included as horses for courses were guys like Sam Burns, who's 9,700. He hasn't played here since 2021, but in both of his starts here, he finished 7th. With Scheffler being gone, then that next group of guys that have like multiple top 10s are all in the 7K range. You got Aaron Rye, Tony Finau, Gary Woodland, Mackenzie Hughes. And like, not only do they have multiple top 10s, in the case of Woodland and Hughes, they have really just stellar records here where they've never finished like worse than 30th. I think Hughes is the one that he finished like 32nd the first year he played here, and then he's finished 20th or better the last 4. So again, you see these guys over and over and over again. With Scheffler, who I think was actually, it kind of disappointed me a little bit that he was taken out, because I was going to be really curious to see what kind of lineups you could build with Scheffler this week. Because when somebody is over $4,000, it was basically $4,500 more than anybody else in the field. That's tough to make up. Like that,
Yeah.
you're basically scraping the bottom of the barrel in an event that it's not great to be scraping the bottom of the barrel. And they made things a lot easier, in my opinion, with Scheffler's late withdrawal. The funny thing is, these guys would have been more expensive. Like the Koepkas, the Gotterups, the Hogarts, Adam Scott, pretty much the entire 9K range probably would have been in the 10K range.
Yep.
And you need to take advantage of that. The 2 guys that I feel are deserve the most, I think, attention, or in the most amount of lineups for me, is Chris Gotterup and Nikolai Hogard. And I mean, there's a lot of guys this week kind of in that 9K range you can make a very, 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 very good case for. But with Gotterup, you've got a guy that hits it as far as anybody on tour. Obviously, he's playing very well this season. He's already got 2 dubs. That helps. But for instance, he also last year finished 18th. So like, he's had a good finish at this venue. He's 27th on approach, 6th in driving distance, 39th in bogey avoidance. And the big thing, which is the one thing I did not mention, I think when we were doing the course preview, he's 2nd in par 5 scoring. And there's only 5 holes since this venue came on as part of this event in 2020 that are under par for the 5 years. 3 of them are the 3 par 5s, right? There's only 3 par 5s too, because there's 5 par 3s. So when 3 of the 5 holes playing under par par 5s, you probably need to get those. Gotterup, whether you're talking just straight distance, which again, he's 6 in, or you're talking carry, which he's also top 5 in. He's one of the best in the world. He can mash it. So I think that's a great play. But I actually think Hogard is an even better play, because he does a lot of the other little things statistically even better than Gotterup. And the difference is, again, we talked about it in the beginning, he misses fairways all the time. I mean, it is wild to see somebody that as good as he is and playing as well as he is that can't put every other drive in the fairway. I mean, it really is remarkable when you think about, he's so good from 200 plus yards. He's 28th on approaches from that far. He's hitting, I think it's just like 45, 48 feet, something like that from 200 plus yards average. And he can't find a fairway. And some of these venues they play are huge, but that's advantage Hogard. That's advantage us. Now he missed a cut in his only start here last year, but he's playing much better across the board entering this event than he was last year, which I believe was his first full year on the PGA Tour. So it makes sense he was kind of getting his feet wet, but he's made every cut this year, 4 top 25. So that's obviously great. But again, across the board, just what do you want? He's 24th in putting, 14th in driver distance, 10th in scrambling, 18th bogey avoidance. And then again, we talked about 28th and 200 plus approaches. And he was 134th on tour in driver accuracy, but that will not be an issue this week. So I'm pumped that I'm going to be able to play, both of these guys. And it's very easy because there's a few more names I'm sure we're going to go over in a minute of these most expensive guys that I don't think there needs to be any hesitation of playing 2 or 3 of them in there, because the other advantage is I really do like the low 7K range where there's like 4 or 5 guys, take your pick. I think they're also good plays. So if you want to go in a little bit more on Goddard or Hogarth, go right ahead. But where's like the expensive guys that you like this week?
Yeah, so Goddard was one of the guys. The only thing I want to add to your analysis of Goddard is he's on the record, or maybe it was off the record, but somebody tweeted it out. But he's pretty much on the record saying, "Get me to Houston" in the middle of the Florida swing.
I like that.
He's one of those guys where he gets his advantage from being free off the tee. And a place like this, that it's not super penal to miss fairways. He's pretty accurate, but yeah, he has another gear that he can kind of get to and that he can let go.
I think we call that full send, right, Scott?
Full send, exactly. So the other guy that I wanted to mention in that range is Jake Knapp, 9,500. So he's second in strokes gained total. He's 65th in strokes gained approach. But that is a little bit skewed coming from his players, where he really had his first bad tournament in about 7 or 8 months. He's 11th in longest drives. He's 8th in driver distance, and he's 20th in approach over 200 yards. So, he needs to clean up his 125 to 175, but not that huge of a deal. If he just has a above average week compared to his season, he's got 5 out of the last 6 events in the top 25, 4 top 10s. And there for a long time, he hadn't finished worse than I think T11 to start the season. So a little bit of a comeback spot for Knapp after the players, and it wasn't great there, but I'm expecting some really solid stuff.
Also, a weird story. He was, at first he was injured, and then they said, oh no, actually he was sick, right, which that could have, obviously played a, part in, why he didn't look as sharpest. And again, the player is also just an event that if you're just slightly off, you're going to have a bad time. Like if you watch the South Park episode, if you French fry when you're supposed to pizza while you're skiing, you're going to have a bad time. If you hit a few errant shots at the players, you can get in trouble. At Golf Huge S, what up, boys? How we feeling about Woodland this week? We were going to bring him up again in a minute, but I aim to please. So, we discussed it when we were talking about the horses for courses, that Woodland has a very good record here. 2 top 10s in just the last 3 years. I believe his worst finish in that span's 21st. First in driver distance, so he is not afraid to send it full send. As we were just saying, I like Woodland a lot. He's one of those names, and again, like this, like 7,600 to 7,200. Oh, you're good, man. You don't have to apologize, dude. I'm glad that we appreciate you being here. And again, we aim to please, man. So 7,600 to 7,200 range. I really do. I feel like there's 4 or 5, 6 guys that I really have no fear in playing this week. Woodland is definitely one of them. And I love just also, we've heard him make comments, I think it was on the telecast this weekend, that he's finally feeling comfortable after a really, difficult thing and having brain surgery and dealing with a brain tumor. I love to. Scott just sent me a private chat just so everybody knows that Jet's waking up, talk for a bit. Like that's going to be tough, Scott. Twist my arm to talk some more. Let's talk some other guys in the 9K range. Brooks Koepka. I'm mad at myself for not betting him before the news for Scheffler came out, because obviously his odds now are just disgusting. I think he's 19 to 1 was last I saw. But I think at 9,600, he is a very good play. By the way, just again to show you, people are going to be playing the most expensive person this week. Thanks to BetSpert, we know that Minwoo Lee at basically 28%. Highest owned golfer, Jake Knapp right there at 27.5, Goddard up at 25.8. And there is a significant drop off from there. And then you see Brooks Koepka at 21.85%. But Koepka plays so well on these big golf courses and difficult golf courses for that matter. I mean, the dude, has won the PGA Championship, which is kind of 3 times, which has merged almost into many years more of a U.S. Open test than what used to be the traditional U.S. Open test because they just play so long, difficult to the long iron shots. He's like still the best ball striker or one of the best ball strikers on tour. I mean, that is, you don't have to look at data, you just have to watch him hit. And I heard Kenny Kim say on the Fantasy Degenerates that, he's going to just keep betting Koepka until he wins because it's going to happen. And that is true. I think, Koepka wants to get a win going into Augusta, a place that he's finished second at twice just since 2019, including 2 years ago. So I have no hesitation about playing Koepka either. And then the guy that I think in that 9K range is not getting any attention, but really should, is the man that continues to somehow beat Father Time, and that is Adam Scott, who it's just remarkable. He continues to be gaining ball speed and distance, moving well into his mid-40s, which you do not see that. Like, you just don't. Even the greats who still hit it plenty far usually lose a little distance as they hit their 40s and 50s. And he is gaining, significantly distance. And he doesn't have a great track record at this venue, but he hasn't played it since 2021, so that's not really a big deal. I think he's a much better player equipped for this course now than he was 4 or 5 years ago. But he's 26 in driving distance, which is outrageous. We know he's an unbelievable iron player. He's 9th on approaches. Even more importantly, though, he's 12th on approaches from that 200-plus yard. And if you go look at Adam Scott's, like what Scott was talking about, numbers from 150, 175, 175 to 200, 200 plus, 200, 225. He's just top 20 in all of them. He is the ultimate long iron player. And then the reason I like him so much this week is it's not just his ability to bomb it, his ability to hit, irons from far away close, but more than anything, it's his ability to avoid bogeys and scramble around golf courses, because he's 27th in bogey avoidance, 23rd in scrambling, making a ton of birdies too, 36 in birdie or better percentage. And then we talked about how important par 5 scoring is. He's 17th in par 5 scoring. Adam Scott is somebody that currently, what is his projected ownership? I know it's down there. I think he's 12%.
Yeah, 12 or 13.
Yeah, so, you're talking about there's 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 12 guys that are going to be higher owned than Adam Scott this week. I like including him in cash game lineups, and I wouldn't be surprised if his ownership is actually lower than that, because I think the guys above him are really trendy names that everybody knows. They hit it a mile. Unless you're a really big golf fan, I think it's hard to even think that, Adam Scott is actually longer now than he was 4 or 5 years ago. So Scott at 9K to me is very interesting as well. Anybody kind of in this expensive range, that include looking at the 8Ks as well, you also want to talk about?
No, you got my 3. My 3 in that range for Brooks, Jake, and Koepka, and we've touched on all of them. As you mentioned, you're gonna have one pick that's gonna be of high ownership.
Oh yeah, no, it's okay to have 2 in cash game lineups. I think
exactly,
as long as you have other guys that are low owned.
For sure. I think the next place that I would take it is
real quick before you go there, Minwoo Lee. What am I missing? Because he's playing great. We both didn't even mention him. He's a defending champ here.
It's just hard to repeat. It's hard to repeat anyway.
That's fair. No, that's a good answer. I was just curious because I just want to make sure we're not missing that, because I haven't heard a lot about him. But if you look, he by the metrics is actually playing better than he was this time last year entering the event. So that's a fair point, though. It's very difficult for guys to go back to back, and he's the most expensive dude on the board, which if you're going to play somebody that expensive, you better be pretty sure he's going to have a great event. Yeah. All right. Where are you going, Scott?
I love Minwoo. I just think that, if a little bit of this is me coming at it from an angle of, who I think has been rounding into form, but also just a little bit of gut feelings involved. And that's just kind of one where a lot of people are going to be on him. I'm going to go to the next tier, the mid tier, anywhere from 75 to 8. Right above that is Wyndham Clark at 8,300. Now, Wyndham is an interesting case, as I mentioned before. He gained more than a shot around on average in 3 out of his last 4 events, strokes gained approach. He's lost shots on the green in 4 out of his last 5 events. So when you put those two together, it's kind of like, what the heck? And how do we get this going on the greens for Wyndham Clark? One thing that can get him going on the greens, as I mentioned, is coming to Houston, where in his last 5 times he's been here, he has averaged more than a shot, 1.05 shots per green or per gained around, on and around the green. So it's kind of one of those things where his short game comes alive when he gets to this place. His putting comes alive, or historically has come alive when he gets to this place. And with Wyndham, he is not afraid to hit the ball hard. He's a guy that is constantly up there, top 10 in ball speed. I just think that he's got a really, really good chance to kind of clear some demons out on the course where you can be a little bit aggressive off the tee. You can be aggressive kind of with the angles that you take, and kind of the leaves just that you can give yourself, because the rough's just not that penal. And then the next play I would go after Wyndham, just to give you 2, is just going back to the well with Pearson Coody.
I knew it.
I snuck him. 8,000. He's got 5 top 25s on the season. He's 38th in approach, which has actually come down a little bit in the last couple of weeks. But he's 31st in off the tee. He's even higher than that in distance. It's just one of those things where I believe in this kid so much, and I'm going to keep picking him until he just proves me wrong. And so far, he has not proved me wrong. A little dip in Florida, didn't play his best, but just has so much potential, so much upside for that $8,000 range.
Yeah, you'll be proud of me. I put him on my cash core this week. I am nervous about the fact he hasn't have a great track record at this event. He's made the cut both years, but he's finished kind of like in the 50 range. Mm-hmm. And also, like, he had that really hot start and obviously struggled on the Florida swing, but he may just be a guy that doesn't play Florida courses well. Like, we may, find out in a few years. Sure. He never plays those courses well. And then the scrambling thing is the real issue I have, because
sure,
if he hits his approaches like he can from 200 plus yards, which he's top 25, so obviously that's no issue to him, it's not going to be a problem. But if he is a little bit off with his irons, that's where I get concerned. The Wyndham Clark play, though, I love it, man. We'll get a little bit more into him when we do the betting, but you made the case. Like, he has been, in a lot of ways, actually playing better this year than he did the last couple of years, except for 2 big caveats. He can't find the fairway right now, and he can't make a putt.
Yep.
And that's not a problem this week. Like, we can keep saying it, but he can miss all the fairways he wants. It's not going to really penalize you. And then what it was, I had the stat somewhere. Yeah, so he's gained 2+ in putting and off the tee all 3 of the last 3 years at the Houston Open. He's finished T16, T31, and T5th. So that's a good call there. Again, that 7K range I really like. Gary Woodland was a name that we mentioned. Another one, I see a lot of people leery of Ryan Fox because of the fact that, he had the kidney stones and, he just had it 2 weeks ago. I'm not one of those people. I'm full send. I'm back in. Dude's playing great golf. He's finished 24th or better every start this year. He played well here just last year, finishing 15th. That's good. 35th in putting, and that's the real deal for him. Is like, I think everybody knows he's a really good long iron player. He's somebody who hits it a mile, but he has got a really good short game. I mean, you don't, get to 17th scrambling, 28th strokes gained around the greens, 24th bogey avoidance without being able to roll the rock. And, again, he's ranked I think top 20. No, he's 35th in putting, 16th in driving distance, top 5 in approaches of 200 plus yards. And then the only concern I have about him And it is, again, you explained to me with all those stats I just gave you, he is top 16 in par 3 and par 4 scoring and almost in the hundreds on par 5 scoring, which I don't understand. Now he's, only played 4 events for a couple of different reasons. He still plays on the DP World Tour at times. Obviously, he missed players because of the kidney stones, but it doesn't make sense to me that somebody that can hit it that far, has that good of a game around the green, is really good on long approaches in, is doing that bad on par 5 scoring. So that is one thing that could end up, penalizing him and hurting him. The next guy, my boy, Haitong Lee, I'm back on this week.
Back to the well.
Yeah, I'm back to the well, just like with you, Cootie. And it's a similar thing, right? Because prior to the last few events, dude was on fire, playing great golf. And then it kind of went sideways for a minute. He doesn't have any starts here, but this venue is just, it's tailor-made for, again, what he excels at. He's 35th on approaches, 29th on approaches of 200 plus yards. He's one of those people that actually is better the further away he is. 39th in scrambling, 29th bogey avoidance. So again, this is a tough golf course. Only 5 holes play under par, so he's going to be able to hang with that. And then again, par 5 scoring is like the litany here, or where you got to take advantage of it. He's 22nd in par 5 scoring. He's 69th in driving distance, so he's not somebody that he's one of the few guys that I have this week that is not, your traditional bomber, but 69th, he's hitting it well over 302 yards. That's plenty far enough to be able to compete here. And then, do you want to pronounce this name, or do you want me to try to butcher it? Because, we've reached that point of the show where Keith shows he's a country bumpkin and can't pronounce a name.
If I knew who it was.
Sudarshan? How do you say it? Is that right?
I have no idea.
Sudarshan Yelamarja?
Oh, the kid that, from Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, he learned to play on YouTube.
Yeah.
That is the most
awesome
unbelievable story of all time. But more than that, he's playing really well entering this event. He finished 5th at the Players, and he was not expecting that because he was a late withdrawal from the Valspar. That is called, man, I just made enough money probably to keep my card for another year, so I'm going to have a good time this week, hang out. But again, if you're talking about just what it takes to succeed here, he got it all. He's 15th in driver distance, so he can full send it. 16th in putting, which that's a deadly combination. That is a deadly combination when you can both drive for show and putt for dough. But the big one that just stood out, he's 2nd on approaches of 200 plus yards.
Dang.
Now we're at the trifecta. Plus, he doesn't make bogeys. He's 32nd in bogey avoidance. Obviously makes a bunch of birdies with all that firepower. He's 21st in birdie or better percentage. And then he's 37th in par 5 scoring. And I feel like you can load up lineups with, say, Fox, Yella Maruja. I don't know, man. Is that right?
I think that's right. That's pretty
so bad. I need to Hooked on Phonics works for me. But I feel like because of that, don't go into the 6K range. Even a guy that we have not mentioned yet, Stefan Jager, who is 7,700, has an unbelievable track record.
Yeah,
he's won
probably the most impressive track record in the field at this event, to be honest.
And the concern was, well, he had that early good finish, but other than that, he hadn't been playing well. And he's like, oh, by the way, just in time for my favorite event of the year, I'm going to throw in a really good finish at the Valspar, where I think he finished 7th. He's another guy that just very easily, I could see, finishing top 10. And again, I think he's 7,700 this week. So
there you
go. You're talking 22K. You can have Fox, Jager, and Yella Mirage. We're going to keep saying that.
There you go.
I've
got 2.
In your lineup. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I've got 2 down there at the bottom. Speaking of somebody that just finished T7 last week,
Let's
it's
hear it.
SH, because I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his first name. SH Kim, not to be confused with Tom Kim or another Kim out there, but SH Kim
Anthony
just
Kim or
yeah,
Sun
exactly.
Young Kim or
He finished T7 last week, Valspar. He has 2 other top 20s on the year, 6 out of 8 cuts made. He's $6,900 on DraftKings cash, and he's 20th strokes gained putting and 12th in scrambling. He doesn't have the other kind of things that I would love to see. He's kind of middle of the pack in driver distance. He's kind of middle of the pack in kind of all the other major categories that we were looking at. Nothing to speak of. However, recent form and the fact that he has 3 top 20s, 1 top 10 on the year, and he's in the 6K range. My favorite play of the week, which I'm going to get more into in the betting odds, but my favorite play of the week, Mr. Aldrich Potgieter at
oh
17.
God, here we go.
You don't like that play?
I do like Pot. I just know that, anytime there's a lot of poke guider stands out there. Let's put it that way. Him losing to Brian Campbell. Hell, my boy Byron, the model maniac, just shared a tweet this week of him hitting it right into the trees and it coming back in. It's one of the worst moments in Twitter history because he did. He was one of the many people that had him. I think he was like 200 or something to 1. Forget the fact I was one of the people that had, Campbell at 251. So I think it was a great moment. But
there you go.
no, I mean, he fits the bill. Go
to
ahead. Let's hear. I mean, obviously, he's like what the longest guy on tour. Where is he in driver distance? I mean, Woodland's 1. So what's he?
I think he's second. I think he's second. His play in Florida was lackluster at best, if we're just going to call a spade a spade. But when you look at the guy, target golf with tons of hazards, that's not really going to be his style of golf that brings out the best in him. He won last year at Detroit Golf Club, which is a venue that you have to be able to hit it very far. And it's one that that's pretty similar to Houston, where you can kind of really unleash the big stick. We talk all the time about, par 5 scoring. Well, the fact that there's only 3 par 5s and then there's 4 other par 4s, as you mentioned, that are over 480 yards.
That's ridiculous.
I don't mind looking at par 5 scoring when it comes to those long par 4s. It's just one of those things where I'm going to take a guy for $7,200 in a DraftKings lineup. I'm gonna load a guy in there with a superpower that is driving the golf ball. Now, is it going to go straight? Not so sure. But again, the rough is very penal here. So
as long as you keep it on the planet, you're okay this week.
Exactly. So I really like him. I really, really like him to top 20. I like the odds there. We'll get back into that in a little bit. But I really think that's a good play at the bottom of your lineup.
I like it. And also the Mexico Open, which is the event we were talking about with him and Campbell. It's another event that Bombers have fared very well there. Jake Knapp won there. Was that last year or 2 years ago? All the years run together when you reach a certain age, but I know that Knapp has a very good finish or has won there. Again, poke guider. That's what was so amazing about that event was you had Campbell getting out driven by like literally 100 yards all Sunday, and just it was an unbelievable performance. But all right, any other DFS players? You want to get into the betting cards? Anybody that we missed that we should bring up?
No, just a little asterisk. Like, I don't think the way that we kind of separate this, we kind of separate it with how we're talking, but I think anybody we're about to give in the betting could also be used in DraftKings. I'm just a little bit a little bit less cautious with the percentage owned.
I really appreciate you mentioning that because my boy Cashmere Keith Mitchell should be in some cash lineups this week. He's 8,200. I think he's safer than Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
He plays these kind of golf courses very well because he hits it very long off the tee. He's very straight. He's a great long iron player. And he's had a very good track record at this venue. So I think him at 8,200, you're getting somebody like, to me, even guys like Gerard and Hall, or honestly, even Lowry, I like him better than those. Thorbjornsen too. And Thorbenson's a guy we didn't mention. I had a few people
A lot
ask me
of
about that in
people
the
are on him.
Discord. He's
Kind of makes me weary.
what is it you say? I'm sorry.
Just a lot of people are on him and talking about him.
He struggles on long irons too. Like his long iron numbers are not great. And I know he's one of those guys that maybe hits it far enough this week that he's not hitting.
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see him near the top, but I don't trust it enough right now.
The other guy that we did not mention, I just want to briefly bring up because I have him, or actually, let's just get an outrights and then we can do it there as well. I think this is a really bad week to bet. The Scheffler thing just crashed the markets. And excuse me, it was Marco Pinge and Ryan Gerard were the two that I got at plus 4,500 and plus 4,700. And then, like I said, the odds dropped. Wyndham Clark is another guy to have on mind. He was 5,400. He's now plus 4,400. Like, they've already taken a lot of the fun out of betting. When you see guys that say don't have a win on tour and they're 25-1 to win an event, like, what sense does that make if they've played in 40, 50 events and you have them 25-1 on a 150-man field? It bothers me. Like it's gambling, and I understand that, but we should get the odds that we always have. I've heard they've done the same thing in NASCAR odds, and this is unfortunately the world we live in with big books like DraftKings and FanDuel kind of taking over everything. And I'm sure they have very smart people. And don't get me wrong, there's reasons that they're doing it. I'm sure it's projections and stuff, but just to me, betting odds, part of it should come from how likely is somebody to win an event? And you can't tell me somebody that's never won a freaking event, and has played for 3-4 years on tour should be 25-1 to win. But anyway, that's my little rant. The lowest odd guy I have in the field now is Adam Scott at 37-1. And again, I think Adam Scott's going to win this year. I love everything that we've seen from him. He is another guy that he's lost a little bit of accuracy, not a lot, but for a guy that hit it so, and it makes sense. If you're gaining distance, obviously the ball is going to start to go a little wayward more unless you're a robot or Scott Porter, one of those two things. But I mean, he's as long as just about anyone out here. Like the ball speed, I think is like top 12 right now on tour. And I just love every other part of his game. Again, maybe the best long iron player on the planet. Still has, in my opinion, the best golf swing on the planet. You would know more about that than me, but I could watch him swing golf club all day. And
very, very, very good.
It's so repeatable too. And he is another guy that, again, they've, mirrored this course from Augusta National, which is a venue that obviously he's found a ton of success. He's even better at scrambling than he is, just in general at this venue. So I love that. And then because I mentioned him already, Marco Pinge plus 4,500. Now I think he's down to like 30 plus 3,200. I can't bet him outright at that number. Like it's too low for me to go for a guy that I know he won 3 times on the DP World Tour last year, but until he gets a PGA Tour win, I just think that's kind of gross. And he's another guy that his scrambling, his putting numbers, and his long iron numbers, they've not been great. But if you watched him on Saturday, Sunday, it's why I brought him up so much earlier in this year, only for him to just absolutely shit the bed in those events. He has got all the talent in the world. And he put on a stripe show Sunday. I mean, it was unbelievable. And again, what I was most impressed with was what he did on and around the greens, because that is, just a weakness in his game in terms of, looking at everything. Like that's kind of the weakest parts of his games, I should say. And it looked pretty dang good to me at a venue that is not that easy to scramble on and, to avoid big numbers. So I liked him at plus 4,500. I don't know if I can recommend him at the number we got. But I do know you want to start with Wyndham Clark, and then I know you had probably somebody a little bit lower, but since we were, both on him, what did you get him at? What was his odds when you clicked it?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was today. It was after it dropped to 44.
Yep.
So 4,400. I did a very, very, very small amount on that. To clarify, like very small amount, like the smallest bet that I will ever put on anything. And then I put a half a unit on him to top 5 at plus 760. I just think that he's going to. I think he's going to come to this place a little bit, pissed off that he's hitting it so well, and he's striking the ball phenomenally, and he just isn't making anything. I don't know what putter he's using. I know he's swapped a few different times this season, trying to figure that out. But
Going with my dad's route of showing up with a new putter every day.
Definitely. But like I mentioned, in the last 5 times he's played here, and he's not a great putter. So let's clarify. Like he's not somebody that he had one magical summer where he turned into 2015 Jordan Spieth and made a lot of putts in 2020.
That was the same summer he won the U.S. Open.
Yeah,
that's a very similar golf course. LA Country Club is about as close of a venue as you're going to get in terms of like what the contacts are around the green, distance, all that stuff.
Well, and if you remember, like he was rolling the jailbird that Ricky Fowler was rolling, and that summer, those two just seemed to make everything with that putter. Historically, he's not that great of a putter. He just really overperformed. However, this is a venue that typically always brings out his best on the putt green. So I do like Wyndham. My favorite probably play in the betting side of things this week, I just think that he's still undervalued even after his good finish. A little bit of a collapse on Sunday, but really good finish on Sunday, and that's Sung J M. You're not going to get Sung J M 61-1, and it was probably higher than that before the Scheffler withdrew, but you're not going to get him at 61-1 very much in his career. He's been historically so much of a better player than that. He had 2 bad miscuts coming off the wrist injury. I'm a little bit biased because I have a dear friend, a really good friend named Willie Wilcox, who is his caddy. So I'm a little biased towards Sung Jae. He's one of the guys that no matter who I've bet on that week, he's always favored it at the top of my PGA Tour app. I love keeping up with him just based on my friendship with Willie. But you're the most value that you're ever going to get out of him is right now. So I don't mind if you take him to win. I don't mind if you take him to top 5 at plus 970. I don't mind if you take him to top 10 at plus 455 or even the top 20 at plus 210. I think the value is there in all of those plays because he proved last week that he's in form. He was just rusty on Sunday, rusty when it got to the heat of the moment. But if let's not forget that Fitzpatrick won that event last week at 11 under. And coming into the last round, Sung Jae was at 11 under.
Yeah.
So no one really passed him, if that makes sense. He just came backwards towards the field on Sunday. So I think he's going to be motivated. And he's probably my favorite play of the week as far as outside of DFS.
I was say, so why would you not use him in DFS, just out of curiosity? Because he's only 7,500.
For that monologue, I just wanted to.
You wanted to say that monologue? I like that.
I did.
Okay, so you're saying you should be putting him in your lineup 7,500.
Correct. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly why I said that lead up. Like anybody I mentioned from this point out, I don't mind in your lineup because I think he's extremely undervalued at 7,500.
You are a good man. I also just love the the belief that you have that people are listening from the very beginning to the very end of the show. I don't
care. I don't care.
I love you, man. I really do. You're the best. I do think that he is a really good price. And obviously he showed, the last 2 weeks, to be fair, that his ball striking is back to being Sung J M. And then at that point, it's the same that it's always been. Like he's a good putting week away from probably winning a PGA Tour event. And it may not even have to be good. It could just be an average putting week, especially difficult venues. I'm kind of in the same boat with Finau, who is plus 6,600. I know last year he finished 32nd in this event, but he won and had a runner-up the 2 prior years. Yep. And I mean, last year was rough for Tony. And it's not been great in 2026, but it is getting better. And like, I think he's had already 3 top 30s, which I don't know if he had that all of last year. Like last year was a struggle. He obviously still hits it plenty far enough. Very good iron player on long approaches. And I mean, you're getting a guy at 66-1 who also, by the way, has won at Detroit, which you're talking about as one of your comp courses. So I just feel like that's a good value. You can also get him at plus 1050 to top 5, which in some ways that might be even better odds than the plus 6,600, because it's like what I tell people, only one person wins every week, but there's 10 people that finish in, 5 people that finish in the top 5. And, that's pretty good. Like when you're getting 10-1 odds, basically almost 11 for a guy like Finau. I like that. The Brooks Koepka, I'm not betting to win again because of his, odds, even though I think there is something to what, Kenny Kim was saying, that he is going to win sooner rather than later. Like it's just a state of fact. And I agree with him, but I can fully support plus 480 to top 5. It's another one, though, that I'm very upset I didn't bet before they changed the odds, because when I first glanced at it, he was plus 530. And just like that, he was plus 480. But I still think that's a good enough piece to take that. Adam Scott as well, I have it plus 650. I think that's good odds as well. And I have 2 long shots. Before that, just some prop bets. I do Yager. Like I can't bet him to win. It's a pretty good field for the Houston Open in recent years. Like I know some people have been saying, well, with Scheffler, there's no stars here. I disagree. Like I think that you could argue 10 of the, best 25 players on the PGA Tour right now are here. Because I think a lot of people are still not counting like Goddard and, the Hogarths and these guys of the world as, PGA stars. And maybe they're not, people that draw big numbers maybe on TV. Sure. But they're playing as good as anybody in the world.
Let's say Goddard's 10 in the world, and he was as high as 6 until the last couple tournaments.
Exactly. And the fact you can get Yager, though, at plus 920 to top 5 and plus 440 to top 10, and as you said, there's nobody that probably has a better record here. Mm-hmm. I think, again, 11th or better the last 3 tries, and you're getting almost 5-1 just from the top 10, and you're getting almost 10-1 from the top 5. I love that. I also, Ryan Fox is kind of in the same boat where not betting him to win, not betting him top 5, but I do think getting 5-1 odds plus 510 to top 10 is really good odds. So I looked at that. We talked about Gary Woodland earlier. At Golf Huge was asked about. I like him in DFS. And the bet I like for Woodland this week is you're getting 3-1 odds on him to top 20 at a venue that he has played very well historically. That is my highest unit bet this week is Gary Woodland 3-1 to top 20. Like I love the value there. I've got, like I said, just 2 long shots, and they're also involved in some props. You got any other betting plays you want to play?
I got 2 more.
I've
already mentioned Aldrich, but I like him to top 10 and top 20 plus 610 to top 10 plus 290. So almost that 3-1 odds to top 20.
I like that.
And then I won't go into, like I said, I won't mention his stats just because I've already mentioned it. As far as pot gear, he's a bruiser of the golf ball, man. He absolutely pounds the ball into a place that rewards distance. I don't think that's a bad play at all. And then my other one isn't necessarily somebody that's freakishly long on tour. He's 55th in total driver distance, but that's Patrick Rogers plus 230 to top 20. He's made 9 straight cuts to start the year, which is a bit absurd. He finished T11th at Sawgrass. He's 37th in strokes gained putting, 31st in strokes gained total. Like I said, 55th in driver distance and 68th in approach over 200. So middle of the pack in those longer ones, but he's in really, really good recent form, playing probably the best of his career. And I think, coming out, I really think that he's going to be a guy that he's not going to win probably 5 across his career, but I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks off 1 here or there in the next few years. So a guy to kind of watch there at plus 230 to top 20.
Oh, Patrick Kenny Rogers. I like that. Right. Kyle, it's very ironic. Our resident Canadian and good friend of the show, Kyle, who, by the way, has a great Dynasty football show you should check out on Fantasy Six Pack. Been lucky enough to go in there a few times with Cal. You're a good man, Cal. Cal, you're going to laugh because I'm going to try to pronounce this name again, but Sudarshan Yelamarje, Melarage. I have him at plus 9,400 to win. I think those are incredible odds. Again, for a guy that he finished fifth last time we saw him at one of the toughest venues in the world. That again, it's the deepest field all season is the Players. He finished fifth there, so he's got to feel good about his game. He's had 2 top 17 finishes in his last 3 starts. And then what you need to do here to succeed, he doesn't just do well. He is like one of the better players in the field at. He's 16th in putting, 15th in driver distance, 2nd on approaches of 200 plus yards, which I'm telling you, that's a huge one with these long par 3s, the 3 par 5s, and then all those par 4s that are 290 plus yards. Doesn't make a lot of bogeys, 32nd in bogey avoidance. He makes a ton of birdies at 21st in birdie or better percentage and 37th in par 5 scoring. And again, he's plus 9,400. He's plus 1,375 to top 5 and plus 630 to top 10, which, again, if you gun to the head, I would probably take that top 5 as the best odds at plus 1,375. We just saw him finish top 5 in a much deeper and stronger field, but I love him. Ewert is somebody, or Ewert, I don't know which way you pronounce it, but he is somebody that I did consider this week, but ultimately I just couldn't get there. Again, I really like Hae-Tong Lee, who is the other long shot that I have this week. He's plus 9,600 to win. Also like him at plus 650 to top 10. He just kind of fits the bill. 35th on approach, 29th on the approaches of 200 plus yards, top 40 in scrambling, top 30 bogey avoidance, 22nd par 5 scoring. I just I root for him. I don't really know much about him other than just, what I see on the golf course, but I respect his game, man. He is somebody that swings hard at that golf ball, and he's aggressive. And I think this is the kind of venue that if you can scramble like he can, you can get away with it because, again, you're not going to get terrible lies around the greens, but you are going to get some tricky up and downs with the slope. And obviously, say you chip it a little short and it'll be coming back to your feet, that kind of deal. If you're looking for just a dart, there's a couple of top 20 plays real quick I want to go over. Emiliano Grillo plus 485 to top 20. Really liked what I saw out of him on Sunday. He is somebody that gets hot for these stretches. And if you saw, basically he barely made the cut, then had an unbelievable weekend, almost came back and won the event. Maybe this could be the start to one of those things. He's an excellent long iron player, which obviously that's a huge deal here. So when you're getting 5-1 odds just for a top 20, that's pretty good. And then Cole Hammer at plus 890 to top 20. He finished 28th here the last time he played here. That's been a few years ago. 26 years old on the Korn Ferry Tour from Texas, has played this course. I think he said last time that he was in the field a million times growing up in Texas junior golf. He hits it a country mile. And I mean, it's just so rare that you get 9-1 odds on a guy that is from the area. He's 26 years old. So obviously he's got a ton of talent. And he's had a pretty decent start to his Korn Ferry Tour season this year. So I don't hate sprinkling a little something on either of those. Before we get here, I want to ask you something real quick. We are 2 weeks away from Augusta National. Who is going to win the Masters if you had to pick right now?
Bryson DeChambeau.
I feel like that may be the correct answer. It's gonna. I'm really hopeful we get two of Koepka, Scheffler, Rory, Bryson, and Rahm dueling it on the weekend, and I think there's a chance we're gonna get 3 or 4 of those guys.
That'd be incredible.
Dueling on the weekend.
That would make my year until college football starts.
I don't think people understand, I think, how free Rory is going to play in majors. moving forward, because not only winning at Augusta, which obviously completed the career Grand Slam, but it ended a 10-year drought, right, for just winning a major in general. And you could feel like, I felt like you could feel the pressure on Rory at Augusta. I said the same thing at the Open that, the year before when he had that brilliant ball striking round. He literally couldn't make a putt. He hit all 18 greens in regulation. Didn't feel like he putted bad either. It just, nothing was falling in. So I think he's going to be playing free. I like the fact that I think people are going to be sleeping on Scotty Scheffler going into Augusta, which is a place that at his worst, and I think now 5 or 6 career starts, he's finished 19th. Bryson fits so many of the metrics of like past champions. I forget who it was that tweeted out today. The average age for champions 32, DeChambeau is 32. Like, there's just so much stuff.
I think
it is Kennedy.
Jamie
there
Kennedy.
You go. Thank you. And like, that's true. There's a ton of metrics that are saying John Rahm is playing the best golf in the world right now.
Data golf, the number one.
And he's obviously won at Augusta before. So that would be cool. And then again, Koepka, man, we had outside of the Augusta, where I still think that was more, it had been quite a few years since he had been in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really the only major I ever feel like he gave away in his career, where he had a chance to win it and he gave it away. I know some people will point to 2019. He went on the water on 12 like everybody else. People forget, though, Koepka played the last, I think, 5 holes 3 under. So, like, he actually did recover from that and still posted a great number. I just think Tiger played better. But Brooks Koepka, when it matters, I still think you can make a case as the best golfer in the world. Like, just
I will say this: if my answer would be different if I see him win or just get beat this week or next. I don't know if he's playing next week. My answer will be a little bit weekend dependent on what we see out of him this week. He's coming off of 3 straight top 20s. He's playing great. I
thought you were going to say if he made like a putt, you were going to.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of my point. That's kind of my point. Like, as much as we're saying that putting doesn't matter quite as much as this venue as it does in some of the previous ones we've capped, it doesn't matter as much at this venue. So if he's going to, like, this is going to be a week where the Masters is in 2 weeks. If you are in that form, if you're in the form that we know is the only form you care about being in at all, because if he's not in that form, sometimes it just feels like he just knows he's not in that form and he doesn't try.
Right. Nope. That's a very fair statement.
So, I love him. I think that if he plays well and we get one of those Brooks Koepka, I'm going to just absolutely put my foot on the gas for 54 holes and let's see on Sunday type major performances. I think it'd be incredible. I just think Bryson just seems to want it right now more than anybody else in the world. Like, his heart just seems like everything's pouring towards Augusta. And like the fact that he was emotional at Live, he's training hard for it. Like, I don't know. I just, gun to my head, I didn't know that question was coming. I think Bryson's the play as of right now.
I'd be okay with it. I don't understand the hate that Bryson gets. I really don't. Even more so today than a few years ago, because I honestly believe he's the only player that went to Live that has lived up to the grow the game bullshit narrative that they were throwing around, right? Because he has, between the YouTube and just everything he does, he has tried to truly grow the game. And it is funny to me, though, that, he's this huge jack guy now, obviously, but I think at his heart, he's a nerd. He's somebody who's very, very, very smart, very smart. And typically, for whatever reason, very smart people are not very likable. And I think that's what it gets at. But I love Bryson, but I just, it feels like golf has been building since COVID. Not only recreationally, where we've seen, huge numbers and people playing the sport, but also just the numbers on recent telecasts. Like, it's continuing to grow. And I just think it could be like a whole nother level if we get those 5 guys, 2 or 3 of them battling it out on the back 9 Sunday at Augusta in a couple of weeks. And that's not even mentioning, again, all these other young studs we're talking about, like Chris Gardner, Jacob Bridgman, the Nikolai Hogart. Like, there's a lot of young talent on the PGA Tour that my favorite part about the young guys now is it's not the old days where they're intimidated. And I really do believe that. Like, Tiger was the first guy we ever saw that just came out. And obviously, when you beat the field by 12 shots in your first major victory, I think it's safe to say you ain't scared. But overall, young tour, it was a normal journey for young players to take a while. And we've seen it more and more with guys like Morikawa, Spieth, who came out immediately and established themselves. The harder part is staying on top. And that's, I think, what those guys have found is like, it's easy to not be scared and just win when you don't know any better.
Sure.
The harder part is, can you stay on top once you realize, holy crap, I've reached the top of the mountain. Now what do I do? Yeah. And that's why it's so fascinating. And it's, again, why Rory continues to gain my respect more and more, because do I think he could have done more with his career up to this point? Yeah, but you can't knock the fact that he has been consistently great for such a long time now. I don't, because Tiger with injuries, and even Jack had, some years here and there where he's a little off, especially like in his late 30s. But Rory's just been steady, man. But I'm pumped, man. I think there's a chance that it could be a very special Masters.
I feel better. Last little thing here. I feel better about Spieth going into Augusta than I have in years past. I feel much better about
Don't
Spieth.
do it, Scott. Don't do it to yourself, buddy.
Oh man, I'm such a Spieth fan. Just I'm that guy. Just because that was my first year in the golf. He was the same age as me. I just want him to win something.
No, I
would love for him to win the PGA, but I'm not asking for that. But I'm not asking for that. I would love for him to do it the year after Rory did it, but I'm not asking that for that.
The videos that people post of like, is Jordan Spieth the great putter? Now or back in the day? Because like he literally won those majors being a great. It's like, oh, so like on top of putting, he's not improved other parts of his game. It's like, no, he's improved other parts, including getting distance and stuff. He's an enigma, man. Like I really, at this point, can't explain it other than I think it's,
he's the best par putter. He's got to be the best par putter of like close to, maybe not of all time, but he's got to be up there, top 10 par putter of all time.
He's a modern day Seve. He's a magician.
He makes par from.
He makes some of the most ridiculous up and down. There's one other name that I forgot is in the field that we better not forget about is Patrick Reed, who is also playing very good golf. And I think that would probably be the easiest way for him to waltz right back into the PGA Tour is if he picks up a major this season. And I think Reed now has finished top 10 there a bunch of times in a row.
That course was made for Patrick Reed, it feels like.
Well, I mean, any course where putting matters, he's going to be pretty good. Sure. Now, is he going to be liked? No. But, well, Scott, this has been fun as always. Please check out all the amazing work on Fantasy Six Pack. If you've not subscribed, please do that. If you have a chance, go to fantasysixpack.net. Check out all the great work there. My cheat sheets are up for all access members. My preview article, I think, is probably published by now. This episode of Two Off the Tee will be on Spotify here shortly. And, hit us up in the Discord. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope your DFS lineups cash big time. And I hope some people can send me some screenshots of some winning betting slips this week. But for Scott and Keith, Two Off the Tee, the Texas Children's Houston Open. Boy, is that a mouthful. We'll see you soon.